I thank the distinguished delegate from Colombia. I now give the floor to the distinguished leader of delegation of Switzerland. You have the floor.
Madame la Présidente.
Madam President. Madam President, I believe that in this room there's no one among those who are following the development of the world climate policy can deny the fact that Switzerland was always open to very important solutions to the problem of climate change, and we always did good on what we promised to do. Today we find ourselves in a situation where we can have something that will be of historical importance. We can actually write a new page in history, Madam President. We can reach an agreement in line with our abilities and our responsibilities, all of us together in a spirit of solidarity to deal with the problem of climate change. Madam, we would like to see something tangible, something that changes things. We decided to have a different world. Madam, we need to have a legal instrument for everyone.
Have a legal instrument under the Convention, Madam the President.
I thank the distinguished delegates from Switzerland. I now give the floor to the distinguished leader of delegation of India. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. We are here to find a solution to the entire issue of the problem of climate change, and if I may repeat with the greatest respect, we have shown more flexibility than virtually any other party in this process. We gave 3 agenda items to be included, and Madam, I would like to say the centerpiece of the climate change debate is equity. And I would like to ask if any party here would disagree with me if I say that the centerpiece of a climate change debate is and has to be equity, and the equity of burden sharing cannot be shifted. Cannot be shifted. Madam, I have heard, and before the process began, so many people came to me and asked about this one word that has been added. There were different tones of voices used, but I stand firm on my question of equity. This is not about India, Madam. This is about the entire world. Does climate change mean you give up equity? Madam, here is paragraph 4. Decides also to launch a process to develop a protocol, another legal instrument, or legal outcome under the UNFCCC. And I have been told, Madam, before this process began, that unless you agree to drop the word legal outcome, the entire process will collapse and India will be blamed. Well, I stand here to tell the world that I am here to cooperate with the process. And I have agreed to legal instrument, though I don't agree with it. I have left the word protocol, though I don't agree with it. What is the problem of adding one more option? What is the problem, Madam? Is it that certain parties have to say something and the entire world goes with it? Otherwise, the entire convention will collapse and India will be blamed? I'm sorry, Madam. India will never be intimidated by threats or intimidation or any kind of pressure like this. Madam, Madam, what do I do, madam? What is this legal instrument that we are talking so passionately about? All I'm saying is, how do I give a blank check? I'm talking for my country. How do I give a blank check and sign away the livelihood? We are not talking about lifestyle sustainability that many richer and more fortunate countries than ours have. We are talking about livelihood sustainability. How do I give a blank check and give a legally binding agreement to sign away the rights of 1.2 billion people and many other people in the developing world? Is that equity, madam, I ask you? Is that equity? I don't even know what this document will be like. Where will equity figure there? What about the entire process of CBDR? What about I feel, madam, that there could be, I'm not accusing anybody. I don't doubt anybody's sincerity. I'm only wondering if there is an effort here to shift the burden of this entire climate change problem upon countries who have not cooperated, who have not contributed to this entire issue. And that is wrong, madam. And that is why we have CBDR. That is the reason we have CBDR. And that is the reason we should stick with CBDR. Is this a weak text, madam? Look at the last 3 paragraphs. Work plan on enhancing mitigation ambition. A range of mitigation actions. It raises the ambition levels. Mitigation actions will apply to everybody equally, even to countries as big as India, which have a per capita emission of 1.7. This is a weak text, madam. Is this the text that they want to reopen? Is this the text that parties want to reopen? We are willing to reopen it, madam. We are willing to reopen and talk about every word in this text. Madam, just before you came into this room, there was a discussion on the AWG LCA text. So many developing countries opposed that text. And the chair, in its wisdom, in spite of more countries opposing the text than supporting it, took it upon his responsibility to pass it on to you for adoption in the plenary. We accepted that as well. We did not issue threats to people. We did not say that we will make the multilateral process collapse. All I want to repeat here, madam, is that is there something that is going on for the multilateral process to collapse? Are we being made the scapegoats? I'm sorry, madam. I want to tell the world that this document was the product of 6 days of talking. All of us have talked over and over and over again. Again, madam, all our ideas were put forward, everybody was present, and this was the sense of the chair. If this text is going to be disturbed, then, madam, my respectful submission is we are willing to take every word because, madam, and I say this with pain, and I say this with humility, and I say this with a great deal of agitation. We have given so much. We have agreed on raising ambition levels. Our 3 agenda items have been pushed to some corner. They've been parked in a place. They're not adopted in the main text because we want to cooperate. We want to make this a success. We want to walk the extra mile as we've always done. Please don't hold us hostage, and please don't take our cooperation to be weakness. Finally, madam, we will give up the principle of equity. Let us finally announce then in Durban, which would be the greatest tragedy, the greatest pity, this historic city of Durban, if we finally say goodbye to the principle of equity, if I finally say goodbye to common but differentiated responsibility, that would be the biggest tragedy of all time. And I plead with you, madam, not to reopen. It is just one more option. How can that be a crime? How can we be accused of anything, madam? I've been told that we are going to collapse the process. I'm asking now, tell me, it's just one more option. How is it a crime? How is it wrong? And my final word, madam, if we are going to reopen the text, we are willing to do that and take every word for discussion again, particularly mitigation and ambition levels. Thank you, madam.